The stars outside the ship looked peaceful. But inside the ship, chaos had started. The human colony ship Artemis 9 was supposed to reach a new world near Alpha Centauri. It carried over 500 men, women, and children scientists, farmers, builders, and soldiers. They were chosen to start a new life on a fresh planet. Place where humanity could grow. A second Earth. But something went wrong. During the final hyperspace jump, the navigation system glitched. A bright flash of blue light filled the command deck, and the stars outside turned unfamiliar. The crew looked at the screens. Earth was gone. Alpha Centauri was gone. They had jumped into a place not marked on any map. They were lost. Commander Eric Lawson, a tall, calm man with gray eyes, stood in front of the main console. "We've gone off course," he said quietly, looking at the blinking red lights. No signal, no known coordinates. Dr. Maya Tren, the ship's lead scientist, looked terrified. "The air filters are stable for now, but if we can't find a planet, we won't have food or fuel in 2 months." Fear spread fast. In the following days, the crew searched every system, every star near them. But the space around Artemis 9 was strange, full of magnetic storms and shifting stars. No communication could pass through. They were trapped in a silent pocket of the galaxy. Just as hope was fading, a strange signal was picked up. It wasn't human. The signal was soft, like a heartbeat. It repeated a pattern 3 tones. Pause, then 3 again. Over and over. No known language, but it felt welcoming. "Could be a trap," said Lt. Marlowe, the weapons officer. "Or it could be our only chance." Eric replied. The signal came from a nearby planet. On first scan, it showed oxygen, water, and plant life. But it was odd. The temperature stayed exactly the same everywhere. No ice caps, no deserts. A perfect balance. Too perfect despite doubts. They had no choice. The Artemis 9 entered the planet's orbit. From above, it looked beautiful: blue oceans, green forests, glowing mountains. They named it Ed and a Dot. Eric chose a landing team of 6. As the doors of the dropship opened, they stepped out into the strange world. The air was fresh. The sky was purple, and the silence was deep. Then something moved. From the trees, tall figures stepped forward. They had silver skin that shimmered. In the sunlight, long limbs, glowing blue eyes. They looked like living statues, graceful, slow, but not aggressive. No weapons, just open hands. "They've been waiting for us," Maya whispered. One of the aliens stepped closer. It touched its own chest, then pointed at the humans. Slowly, it knelt down and drew a circle in the dirt, then placed a small stone in the center. The message was simple. "You are part of this place now." The humans returned to the ship with a report. Arguments broke out. Some wanted to stay. Others were scared. But Eric knew the truth. "We can't leave," he said. "This planet may be our only hope." That night, the signal came again, but this time it was music. Soft, strange music. It echoed through the trees, touched the soul. It brought dreams, visions of humans and aliens standing together, of children with glowing skin, of life continuing. Something deep was calling, and slowly, silently, the humans began to understand. They were not just visitors. They were chosen. Commander Eric stood outside the ship, staring at the alien figures near the forest line. They stood tall, nearly 7 feet, with glowing lines across their silver skin. Their large blue eyes blinked slowly, calmly. They didn't speak, but their presence said enough. They weren't afraid, and they didn't want to fight. But that didn't mean it was safe. The 6-member landing team kept their weapons ready, but fingers stayed off the triggers. The tension in the air was thick, like the moments before a storm. Still, no one made a move. Then one of the aliens stepped forward. It was different, smaller, with softer features and long violet hair that shimmered under the planet's twin suns. The alien knelt, picked up a flower from the ground, and offered it to Eric. He didn't understand the meaning, but something inside him told him to accept it. He took the flower. The alien smiled. That moment changed everything. They returned to the ship. The colonists gathered around the landing team as they described what happened. The scans showed no weapons, no defense systems, no ships nearby. The aliens were peaceful, at least for now. But the question remained, what did they want? That night, as the humans set up a temporary base camp near the forest, the aliens returned. They brought food. Fruits unlike anything seen before, glowing, juicy, and sweet. Roots that gave warmth in the stomach. Water that tasted like it had never touched pollution. Some were afraid to eat it. But the doctors tested E2 was safe, pure, even. Soon, conversations began, not with words, with gestures, symbols drawn in dirt. Shared meals. One human, a young engineer named Kara, sat beside a curious alien child and showed her a toy from Earth, a spinning metal top. The child's eyes lit up, and she copied the motion with a crystal. The human and alien children played together while the adults watched in silence. Something old and deep was happening. Dr. Maya, fascinated by their biology, asked for permission to scan one of the aliens. The silver-skinned being nodded. To her shock, the DNA was different, yet not entirely unfamiliar. "They're not like us," she said to Eric, "but they're not completely alien either. It's almost like we were meant to meet." A few nights later, the humans were invited into one of the alien villages. It wasn't made of metal or wires, it was alive. Trees curved into homes. Walls were made from soft, glowing vines. The buildings hummed gently, like they were breathing. Inside, more surprises waited. Paintings of stars and ships. Murals of beings that looked human. Eric stood frozen, staring at a wall that showed a human-like figure reaching for the stars while alien figures watched from behind. They knew we were coming. Maya whispered. At the center of the village, the alien leaders gathered. The small alien woman who had offered Eric the flower stepped forward again. She placed her hand on her chest and said one word, slowly and clearly. Yelari. It was her name. She looked at Eric and pointed at him. He understood. "Eric," he replied. The aliens repeated it softly, learning. Eric. Then more humans introduced themselves, and the aliens did the same. A connection had started, but not everyone was happy. Back at the base camp, a group of humans began to whisper among themselves. Some believed it was dangerous to trust the aliens so quickly. Others feared being changed. Lt. Marlowe, always cautious, spoke with sharp words. "This is moving too fast. We don't know their intentions. We're alive because of them," Kara argued. "Maybe they're not our enemies. Or maybe they're just waiting for the right time." Meanwhile, a young botanist named Darren discovered something strange. A plant from the alien village responded to his touch, glowed brighter, almost like it knew him. The aliens noticed and whispered among themselves. One reached forward and gently touched Darren's arm. Her eyes widened. She said a word. None of the humans understood, but it sounded sacred. That night, Yelari returned to Eric. She took his hand, led him to a glowing pool deep in the forest. There, reflections showed not just his face, but children. Human children. Alien children. Together, Eric pulled his hand away, confused, even scared. Yelari only smiled. "Tomorrow," she said softly. It was the first clear word in human language from an alien mouth. Tomorrow, something would change. The next morning, Commander Eric stood on a high ridge overlooking the alien village below. The trees moved with the breeze. the leaves glowing gently in the twin sun's light. The alien people whom the humans now knew as the Yalari were already awake, working together like a single family. They lived in harmony with the land, not machines. The humans watched, still unsure what to think. But something was coming. Dr. Maya approached Eric with her datapad. "I've completed genetic scans on the food, water, and now some Yalari samples. Eric, I know this sounds crazy, but their biology can mix with ours." Eric turned sharply. "What do you mean?" "I mean they're compatible. We can reproduce together." He stared at her, stunned. "You're saying we can have children with them?" She nodded. "Yes, it would take some effort, but it's possible. They have some kind of biological flexibility. It's like they were waiting for another species, us." Before Eric could reply, a soft chime echoed through the trees. It wasn't a machine. It was a song. The Yalari had gathered again. This time, the entire human landing team was invited. They followed Yalari leaders into a sacred grove. It was circular, surrounded by silver trees that bent inward like a roof. In the center stood a stone platform covered in glowing vines. On it, the Yalari elder stood an ancient female with deep blue skin and golden eyes. She raised her hand. Yalari of all ages bowed. Even the forest seemed too quiet. The elder looked at Eric and Maya. She didn't speak human words, but Yalari children brought out carved stone symbols drawn clearly. Maya gasped. "It's a proposal," she whispered. "An agreement. A choice." Each stone showed a different future. One stone showed a dying tree, with human and alien faces faded away. Extinction, another stone, showed two trees growing together, their roots and branches weaving into one. It glowed softly life. The message was clear. Together, we survive. Alone, we vanish. The elder stepped forward and placed her hand on her stomach. Then she pointed at the humans. Even without language, they understood reproduction. Eric stood frozen. They're not just offering shelter, they're offering life. A shared future. Kara, the young engineer, stepped forward. "Is that even something we should decide? This feels bigger than us." "I think they already decided," Maya said. "They've been waiting." Some of the humans, especially younger ones, looked at the Yalari with new eyes. Not just strange alien beings, but possible partners, kind, intelligent, beautiful in a way that felt honest and natural. But not everyone agreed. Lt. Marlowe stepped forward, anger on his face. "This is insane. You want us to breed with aliens? Like animals, we're humans. We build cities. We don't sleep under glowing trees and lose our identity. So we won't have any identity left if we die here," Maya shot back. "We're cut off. No way home. No backup. Our genetic diversity is already too low. 1 or 2 generations, we're done." A heavy silence followed. Then something unexpected happened. A young female Yalari stepped into the circle. Reached for Darren the botanist, who had touched the glowing plant earlier. Without fear, she placed her hand in his, and Darren didn't pull away. Their fingers interlocked like puzzle pieces. The Yalari elder smiled. The forest lit up, vines glowing brighter, flowers opening all around the grove. The planet itself seemed to respond to the union. Darren looked back at his people. "I didn't expect this. I didn't even understand it yesterday. But I feel something when I'm with her. A connection." Maya nodded. "This planet is more than just dirt and trees. It's alive. It's guiding us." Eric knew the choice wouldn't be easy. Some would say yes, some would resist. But time was running out. Their ship had enough supplies for a few more months, maybe. He stood before the Yalari elder. "We accept the proposal," he said slowly, Yellari translators whispered the meaning to the elder. She bowed deeply. Then she spoke one human word: future. That night, celebrations began. Not wild parties, but peaceful gatherings. The humans and Yellari sat beside each other, shared food, shared stories through gestures and touch. Some sang, others danced slowly in circles under the twin moons. Children played together without fear. Young men and women talked quietly by the glowing streams. Friendships formed, and in the hearts of many, something deeper began to grow. Hope. The colony may never return to Earth, but maybe, just maybe, this new world could become something better. The sun rose slowly over the glowing forest of Adina. Soft light fell across the leaves, turning the entire alien village into a painting of gold and silver. Birds with shimmering wings sang strange, but peaceful songs. Everything looked perfect on the outside, but inside the human camp, things were far from peaceful. Whispers had turned into arguments. Arguments into quiet threats. Not everyone supported the union between humans and Yellari. Commander Eric sat in the council tent, reading a report from Maya. Several humans had already formed close emotional bonds with the Yellari. Some were even living part-time in alien homes. "I knew it would happen," he said, looking at the data. We opened the door. Maya sat across from him. Her face was tired. "We didn't open it. It was already open. We just walked through." Outside, laughter could be heard. Tuchildana Yellari and a human Ron passed, chasing glowing insects. But not everyone was smiling. Lt. Marlowe stood near the ship, watching a human woman speak softly to a tall Yellari male. His fists clenched. "We're losing our identity," he muttered. Behind him, a group of 6 humans, 3 soldiers, and 3 civilians stood in silence. They didn't say much, but the anger in their eyes said everything. They called themselves the Purity Circle. They believed humans should only be with humans, no matter what. In the village, Kara, the engineer, sat near a small pool with Selin, a young Yellari male with soft glowing tattoos and gentle eyes. She liked his voice, though he rarely spoke. Today, she had brought him a small gift, her old Earth necklace, a tiny star-shaped pendant. He tilted his head as she placed it around his neck. "It's called a star," she said. He smiled and pointed to the sky. "Same word in your language too?" she asked. He nodded. Then he touched her hand gently. His skin was cool but soft. Kara looked around. No one was watching. No, or so she thought. Later that night, the Purity Circle held a private meeting near the wrecked transport unit at the edge of the forest. She was touching one of them. Marlowe said, "It's already begun. If we don't stop this now, we'll be raising alien children next season." A man named Briggs spoke up. "What do you suggest? Lock them up?" "No," Marlowe replied coldly. We just remind them where they came from." The next day, Kara returned to the same pool. But Selin wasn't there. She waited, then searched. Finally, she found him injured, his arm cut, markings scraped away, and her necklace broken beside him. He looked up at her with sad eyes. But he still smiled. She fell to her knees beside him. "Who did this?" He shook his head. He didn't want her to fight. He just held her hand again. Kara ran to Eric. Someone attacked him. She shouted. Eric stood still. "Are you sure it wasn't a wild animal?" "No," she said, tears rising. "They took my necklace and carved it into his skin." Eric called Maya and security immediately. But Kara already knew who was behind it. Marlowe denied everything. Maybe he slipped. "They're not exactly strong." Maya looked him dead in the eyes. "You're not afraid of the aliens. You're afraid of change." That night, Eric made a public announcement to all colonists. From this day, human-Yolari relationships will be protected. Violence or hate against either species will not be accepted. We are building a future, not burning bridges. Some clapped. Some walked away. In the shadows, the purity circle grew quieter, but more dangerous. A few days later, a miracle happened. Dr. Maya called Eric to the medical tent. Her voice shook with excitement. "I've confirmed it," she said. "One of the human-Yolari couples is expecting." "What?" Eric whispered. "A child. A hybrid." He stepped back, stunned. "Is it healthy?" he asked. "Yes. Strong heartbeat. Fast cell growth. No rejection." Eric smiled slowly. "Then it's real. A new beginning." But Maya's eyes held worry too. "Commander, if the purity circle finds out, they won't just argue anymore. They'll act." Eric nodded. "Then we protect them, no matter what." Elsewhere, in the forest, Marlowe watched from the shadows, his face hard and cold. He had seen Maya hug the young couple. He had heard the word child, and in his heart, he made a promise. He would stop it, whatever it took. 2 moons hung low in the sky as soft wind whispered through the forest of Adina. The village of the Yolari glowed quietly, calm on the surface. But something was changing, something powerful and unstoppable. Inside the medical tent, Dr. Maya gently placed her hand on the belly of the first hybrid mother, a human woman named Leah, who had fallen in love with a Yolari male named Thalon. Her face was glowing with joy and fear mixed together. "The heartbeat is strong," Maya said. "Your child is healthy." Thalon stood beside Leah, gently wrapping his long, glowing fingers around hers. The two of them had faced judgment, whispers, even threats, but now they were part of something bigger than love. They were creating a new future. Word of the pregnancy spread quickly through the colony, faster than fire, faster than light. Some humans rejoiced. Some were confused. Others were disgusted. But deep in the forest, the purity circle was furious. Lt. Marlowe stood before his secret followers. His voice was calm, but his words were sharp. "They've crossed the line. A child. Born from this mix. That's not a human child. That's an abomination. If we allow this, there will be no humans left." Briggs, his second in command, looked unsure. "But the baby isn't even born yet." Marlowe narrowed his eyes. "Exactly, which means we can still fix this." Back at the base, Eric held a private meeting with his trusted officers. Maya was there. So was Kara, Darren, and Selen, representing the Yolari. "This baby is the key," Maya said. "The hybrid is proof that humans and Yolari can truly live together. It's not just theory anymore." Selen nodded. "Our people call this child the bridge, a being of both worlds." Commander Eric leaned forward. "But it also makes them a target. The purity circle won't just disappear. We need protection," Kara said. "Leah and Thalon can't walk alone anymore," Eric agreed. "Assign 2 guards to them day and night. This child is our future. We protect it at all costs." Days passed. The forest seemed to hum louder than before, like Adina itself was. Aware of what was growing inside Leah, flowers opened early. The wind carried new scents. Even the animals moved differently, watching from the trees, but never approaching. Then the moment came. Leah screamed from the medical tent as Maya and 2 nurses rushed to her side. "The child is coming," Maya shouted. Yolari elders arrived, singing softly. The walls of the tent glowed with their harmony. Human and alien hands worked together. Outside, Eric stood guard. Kara stood with him, holding her breath. Then silence, followed by a cry. A baby's cry. Maya stepped out, eyes wet with tears. "It's a girl," she whispered. Everyone rushed inside. The baby was small, glowing slightly, with soft silver skin and tiny wisps of dark hair. Her eyes opened slowly, one eye blue like her mother's, the other shimmering gold like her father's. She blinked once and smiled. The entire room fell silent. Even Eriku had seen war, death, and miracles felt something powerful in that moment. The hybrid girl didn't just represent survival. She represented evolution, a future no one had imagined. They named her Alira. It meant hope in the Yellari language. Within days, more couples came forward. Other human Yellari pairs, who had secretly bonded, now asked to be recognized. Love was spreading, and so was life. But not everyone smiled. Late one night, two masked men snuck into the medical tent with stolen tools. They moved quietly toward Alira's cradle, but they never reached it. A massive Yellari warrior stepped out from the shadows. His staff glowed with warning. Behind him, Kara and two guards emerged from the trees. "We expected you," she said coldly. The intruders froze. One tried to run but was caught. The other dropped his knife and fell to his knees. Eric arrived moments later, face hard with disappointment. When the masks were pulled off, everyone gasped. It was Briggs. And a young engineer named Lyle. "I was following orders," Lyle cried. "Marlowe said the child was dangerous." "You followed hate," Eric replied. "Now face the consequences." They were locked away deep in the ship's brig, guarded night and day. Marlowe disappeared. No one could find him. But Eric knew he wasn't gone. He was planning something. A calm wind passed through the Adena forest. But peace was only an illusion. The birth of Ella Ruth, the first hybrid child, had changed everything. Her golden blue eyes, her glowing skin, her fast growth. She was proof that humans and Yellari could create life together, a future together. But not everyone welcomed that future. L.T. Marlowe, once a respected officer, had vanished weeks ago. "Commander." Eric had hoped the man gave up and walked. Away, he hadn't. Marlowe had gone underground. He had gathered more like-minded colonists, people who whispered behind tents, people who didn't cheer when Alira was born, people who believed the child was a threat, not a gift. They called themselves the last humans. They believed the hybrid child was the beginning of extinction, not salvation. In a secret cave deep beneath the northern cliffs, Marlowe stood before a group of 15 men and women, all armed, all angry. "They've lost their minds," he said. "They call it hope, but it's corruption. That child will lead to the end of humanity. Are we really going to sit and watch that happen?" One man, Jonas, raised a hand. "They're too many. The colony supports the child now." Marlowe leaned in, eyes hard. "Then we'll remind them what fear feels like." That same night, the colony's main food storage exploded. Flames lit up the sky. Screams followed. People ran in panic. Kara and Darren rushed to help. Kara arrived with a fire team, trying to control the chaos. They managed to save half the supplies, but it was clear this wasn't an accident. Later, Maya found a strange symbol burned into a wall, a circle with a single line through it. The old Earth symbol for pure. "Marlowe," Eric whispered. The war had begun. Days later, another attack struck. A young Yellari couple walking near the river was ambushed. The male was injured. The female, pregnant, was nearly killed. She survived, but barely. That same evening, Alira was moved into a secret safe house under heavy guard. Selen and Kara stayed with her constantly. "She can't be seen in public," Eric said. "She's too important. We can't hide her forever," Maya warned. "She's not just a child anymore. She's a symbol. If we hide her, we look like we're afraid." "We are afraid," Kara replied. "And we should be." But Elira wasn't afraid. At only 6 weeks old, she had already begun to walk. She could understand 2 languages. She remembered faces. She even touched wounded Yalari and calmed their pain with just a hand. Some started calling her the Light Child. The Yalari believed she was chosen by Adina itself. Humans began to believe it too. But the last humans saw her as the enemy. One night, alarms echoed across the colony. The power grid went out in the dark. Shapes moved. Explosives were found. 2 guards vanished. Eric stood in the command center, gripping his communicator. Activate lockdown. Full security protocol. Meanwhile, in the safe house, Kara heard a noise outside. Then glass shattered. Gunfire. Get down. She shouted, shielding Elira with her body. Selin pushed the table against the door. They found us. 2 masked figures burst inside, but were met with Kara's rifle and Selin's glowing spear. The battle was fast. 1 intruder died. The other was captured. Eric arrived minutes later, when the mask came off. It was Jonas, the man who once fixed oxygen lines for the entire colony. Now a traitor. You've all been fooled, he hissed. That child isn't our future. She's the weapon that will erase us. Eric's voice was like ice. She's a baby. She's not human. Eric didn't answer. He just turned away. The colony was now split. Half stood with Elira, the Yalari, and the new path ahead. Half stood with fear, with Marlowe with the past. It couldn't last the next morning. Eric stood before the entire colony. The Yalari elders stood behind him. Maya held Elira in her arms. We didn't choose to be here, Eric said. We didn't ask for this planet. We didn't plan to build a new species. But fate brought us here, and it gave us a chance. He paused, looked at every face. This child is not the end of humanity. She is what makes us more. She is hope, and I will protect her. If anyone threatens her, or anyone like her, you are no longer part of this colony. Gasps, murmurs, silence. Then someone clapped, then more, and slowly. The colony stood behind him, but far away, deep in the caves. Marlowe watched the speech through a stolen feed. His jaw clenched. This isn't over, he whispered. Not yet. Rain fell gently on Adina, soft and glowing, as if the sky itself wept silver tears. But this was not a sad day. It was a day of rebirth. Commander Eric stood on a high stone platform, surrounded by both humans and Yalari. Behind him, Maya held little Elira in her arms. The child's bright gold and blue eyes scanned the crowd, curious but calm. Yalari elders stood tall beside human council members. Soldiers stood side by side with alien warriors. Farmers and scientists, children and elders all had come together in one place, because everything was about to change. The war had ended. But not with fire or guns. It ended with a choice. 2 weeks ago, Eric had tracked down Marlowe. Deep in the caverns north of the colony, he found the former officer standing alone. Near the edge of a cliff, looking out over the glowing valleys of Adina. You lost, Eric had said. Marlowe didn't turn around. No, you just forgot who we are. We didn't forget, Eric answered. We evolved. Marlowe turned then. His eyes were tired, not angry. You really believe that child is our future? Eric nodded. Not just her, all of them. The hybrids, the unity, the peace. Marlowe dropped his weapon. He didn't fight. He just disappeared into the forest, leaving behind hate, fear, and the last broken piece of the past. Now, standing in the new council square, Eric raised his voice. Many months ago, we were lost, stranded, no way home. No one coming to save us. We feared death. We feared the unknown. But instead of death, we found life. We found them. He looked at the Alar. We found friends, family, and a planet that accepted us not as conquerors, but as equals. Soft. Applause began to rise, growing stronger. Maya stepped forward, holding Alira high. This child is not human. She is not Yalari. She is both, and she is proof that we are stronger together. The crowd roared with hope. After the speech, a ceremony began. The Lare and human children danced around a glowing tree. Couples exchanged woven rings made from Adina's living vines. Flags with blended symbols were raised, the Earth's blue circle and the Yellari's glowing spiral woven into one. They named the new city Nurio, meaning new dawn, in both languages. The colony ship Artemis 9 was transformed into a school, museum, and a reminder of the journey. No longer a vessel of escape, but a symbol of survival. New buildings were grown with help from Yalri, biotech, and human engineering. Homes that breathe, lights that glowed without wires, bridges that sang in the wind, and children, more hybrid children, were being born. Some with glowing eyes, some with soft human skin. All healthy, all beautiful, all new. Kara and Selen sat by a lake that evening, watching the stars reflect in the water. He held her hand, silent as always, but with warmth in every touch. I used to think Earth was the only home I would ever know, she whispered. But now, I don't even miss it. Selen smiled. You brought Earth here. But now, we build something better. They watched a child, half human, half Eulorier, run through the tall grass, laughing as a glowing butterfly chased her. A new world, a new generation. Inside the central hall, Maya stared at Alira as she slept peacefully. She's already so aware, Maya said to Eric. Smarter than any child her age. She hums to herself, reacts to emotions around her. Her brain waves are beyond anything I've seen. She's growing fast, Eric said. Faster than we're ready for. But she's gentle. She never cries unless she senses fear. She never clings unless someone is hurt. Maya looked up. She's not just a child. Eric nodded. She's a guide, just as the sun disappeared. Behind Edna's glowing mountains, a signal reached the old colony com tower. For the first time in almost a year, Earth responded. The message was short, static-filled, but clear. Artemis 9, status update. You vanished. Is anyone alive out there? Eric stared at the screen. Frozen. The colony gathered as the words were played again. Earth had finally found them. But no one shouted. No one ran in joy. They stood silent, thinking. After a long pause, Eric stepped forward and pressed the reply button. His voice was calm, strong. This is Commander Eric Lawson of Artemis 9. We're alive, but we're not just human anymore. Are something new? We are home. He sent the message and turned away. Back to the crowd, back to Edina, back to the future they had made with their own hands.